your free infrared energy inspection. Install with Snap Construction and qualify for over $750 in rebates and incentives. State and city programs are now offering 0% financing for qualifying insulation upgrades. So call Snap Construction for your free insulation energy consultation and start saving on your energy bills. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed insulation and exterior contractor in the metro area.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 19, and Saturday, cloudy with a high of 45.
Vinaigrette can add the perfect complement to your next home-cooked meal. Taste test their wide selection of oils and vinegars, and they'll bottle it for you right on the spot. Vinaigrette is located at 50th and...
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken.
And this is Ghostbox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. Good evening, everybody. My name is Greg Bakken. Thank you very much for joining me. You know what it is. It's Casual Friday. How exciting. We made it to the end of the week. Hopefully you didn't rip anyone's face off at work or anything, that you are happy to get on with the weekend. There is so much to get to tonight. I don't even know where to begin. But I'll tell you, it's going to be, this could be a very emotional program tonight, folks. The first segment tonight, we're going to go over some of the most recent UFO sightings that everyone's saying it's the best evidence that they've ever seen. We're going to talk about that a little bit. That's not the emotional part. The second part, when we get into the second segment, I asked a question tonight, part of the question of the week. And I understand that this is a tough one. And I'm really actually very surprised at how many people had responded to it. But my question is, and you could put your answer, if you'd like to share, you can put your answer in the comments as well. If you could have just 5 more minutes with a loved one that passed, 5 minutes, what would you say? What would you want to talk about? Is there a period of time in their life that you would like that 5 minutes to take place in? That's a lot. And it's a heavy one for a Friday. I certainly would agree with that. But I was very, honestly, I was shocked with how many responses I got. I don't even know if I can get through them all tonight. But we'll do so. So I just want to start and say thank you all for sharing this extremely personal information. I've had a couple of you reach out to me privately and share your stories, but reaching out privately, I don't think you want them read on the air, and I will completely respect that. But I mean, this was a very personal question tonight, isn't it? So we're gonna talk about that, segments 2 and segment 3. There is so many to get through tonight, and we got some people who are joking around with the answer, and some days I'm in a jokey mood. I actually have a pretty good sense of humor. Other days I am not in a jokey mood, and I block that person. I'm just like, yeah, you're done, because they're being cute, and I just like, I ain't gonna bother with that. So I really want to I really wanted to say how much I was just kind of threw me off, I guess, a little bit. Before we get into it, I do want to remind everybody, if you're able to, if you have something that you want to do this weekend, Charvinity Fair is doing a psychic and healing fair in collaboration with Maria Shaw. Remember, we had both Shar and Maria on Tuesday's program. It's at the Minneapolis, it's a Minneapolis convention. It is at the Minneapolis Marriott Airport Hotel. That is tomorrow and Sunday, the 24th and 25th. I will be there both days. I'll have a table set up. Don't let that stop you from coming out and enjoying the festivities. But if you do go out there, please do me a great favor. And please let them know that you heard about it through Ghostbox Radio. You get absolutely nothing from that. I'm just going to be very honest. There is no discount or anything. But what you would get out of it, what I would get out of it, would be possibly some future collaborations and stuff, because we just want to make sure that our message is getting out there. So if you are going out there and you heard about this Charvinity Psychic and Healing Fair from us, please just let them know when you pay the money to get in that you heard about it through Ghostbox Radio. All right, so a couple people in the comments already. It's Casual Friday, so let's have some fun. Ernie says, this has been a week that I was seriously concerned about the potential need to have bail money for his wife, Denise. We could set up a GoFundMe for you, Denise, if you so need it. Pamela says, the question of the week was fun to think about, even if you don't get to it. And that's just it. I think that's going to be the interesting thing about the responses, the range of the responses, because I think it hit some people very hard. It hit people, I think, more. Pamela, I kind of see it more the way that, not whimsical, but certainly something like, well, what would happen if I had 5 more minutes with my dad? You can't say that you've never thought about that before, right? I mean, that can't be the first time some of you ever thought about that. So I just find it really, I personally think of it as kind of a sweet question. I know that your mileage may vary on that. So we're going to get to that in the second segment. First segment, though, I want to talk about, did you all see that footage? I actually put it up on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken on Facebook. That pilot Jorge Ortega captures clear footage of alien UFO. Theories flare up after video goes viral. So I'm going to be reading a story here. These aren't my words. Unidentified flying objects and extraterrestrial life have been subject of ongoing viral internet debate. While there is a sect of nerds, he calls us nerds. If you wish, I've been called worse, that have all the proof to prove that existence of alien life on Earth. On the other side is the cynical bunch that refuses to feed into any theories. Basically saying there's folks like myself that are kind of like, we'll believe anything. And then there's the other side that's not quite as easy to prove and not to fall into place like us. Recently, these two groups raised their voices when footage captured by pilot Jorge Ortega surfaced online. The object flies past the plane at high speed, seemingly defying the laws of physics. The pilot manages to capture the UFO in surprisingly clear footage. In the video recorded by the Colombian pilot, a large silver-shaped disc shaped object is seen flying past his airplane high up in the sky. The video was posted on social media a few days ago and has since been viewed by millions of people. While posting the video, Ortega allegedly claims that he caught a glimpse of a UFO while flying over Antioquia, Colombia. I know. You're all just like, you just butchered that. So there's a lot of bizarre internet theories that have come up. People are regarding the video as the best UFO footage ever seen. However, there are, of course, those who do not believe in supposed UFO sightings. After seeing the footage, one user was reminded of the Bob Lazar documentary. Watching this short clip reminded me of the documentary of Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers. Another thought, it was just a balloon floating in the air. It's a balloon and it's not even moving, they say. It's just an illusion from being in a vehicle, in this case a plane, moving towards and then away from the object. And when you see the footage, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see that. Another speculated something much different than alien invasion. They said that looks like a Chinese supersonic drone. One believed it was a Navy drone. That's a freaking Navy drone. That's what he said. You can quote him on that. We have photos of them on carriers. They went through a lot of testing. We got photos of that too. One simply cracked a Star Wars joke. He says, I'm pretty sure that's the Mandalorian. As long as it has Baby Yoda in it, I mean, what more can you possibly have? And then looking on, let's see, someone believes it could be a Mylar balloon. And for those wondering what Mylar balloons are, you might be more familiar with the object that you're aware of. These balloons are made from a thin, flexible material called Mylar. They have a metallic coating that reflects light and gives a balloon a shiny appearance. Often filled with helium, these balloons are the ones people use at their birthday parties to add a bit of sparkly in life to the room. The festive balloons are often spotted stranded in the air with no way back to the ground. I didn't mean to end the story on such a sad note that these balloons will never see the earth again until they crash land onto them. That's so if you haven't seen the footage, go check it out. Love your thoughts on it. My personal thoughts on it. I agree. I don't think it's a UFO at all. I don't think it's anything to do with anything outside of this planet. I think that personally, I believe that is some sort of military craft. I mean, it has kind of the wing structure to it and whatnot. If it's like some sort of military airplane, I don't know which country. I don't know anything about it. Could be something top secret. I actually kind of also like the idea of the one person who thought it might be a balloon, because it's like we see this object come up to the plane, but what if it's the plane coming up to the object? I don't know. I mean, I think that's relatively valid as well. So yeah, just a lot of interesting thoughts on that. If any of you had seen that footage, let me know what you think in the comments. I'd be very curious to see your thoughts about it as well. It's I mean, here's where we're at with this, though, folks. We're getting closer and closer, I feel like, to some kind of disclosure. We've been talking about this for a while now, and we've talked about it especially since July of last year, when we've had those congressional hearings on UFOs, and people are kind of getting a little bit more excited by the possibility that there is a possibility of other life out there. If you talk to a lot of mediums and stuff, they tell you that that these alien beings are going to be letting themselves known to us, whether any governments want it or not, and it's like it's coming sooner than later. So, I mean, who knows? And I'm curious to know, and maybe we'll save this for a question of the week at some point too, is do you think that the Earth, and let's make it even more silly, let's make it, do we think that the US is ready for some kind of disclosure? I mean, if we are hoarding toilet paper during a pandemic, how are we going to be ready for some alien encounter from another planet, another solar system, another galaxy? So that's really it actually makes me sad thinking about it. That's not actually a good question. It makes me very sad actually thinking about it. I feel like chaos will prevail in that situation. But I find that to be an interesting story this week. And, I love the fact that everyone's like, it is deemed the best UFO footage of all time. Well, yeah, I don't think it's a UFO. I mean, in the grandest sense, it's an unidentified flying object. Yes, I will give you that. To me, I always do seem to put UFO to being the same as out of this world. But I guess we'll see. Now, we've been talking. Now, Emily says maybe it will finally unite us. I admire your positivity. I really do. And I hope that that is what happens someday. Maybe it will unite us because we have to fight against it. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? But that's something to kind of think of as well. All right. So the question of the week, my friends, and I'd like to go first. If you could have 5 more minutes with a loved one that passed, just 5 minutes, what would you say? what would you want to talk about? Is there a period of time in their life you'd like 5 minutes to take place in? And so where I came from with this personally, and I've thought about this for a while, and I think 5 minutes is too short, but it's my question, so I can say what I want. I just think about my dad. I had a lot of time with my mom, and she was fantastic, just a wonderful person. My dad, he's a good man. He was a good man, and he was very quiet. He kind of kept to himself. He would kind of get a little bit more open a little bit as time goes on, and he was great to me as a child, but I think children possibly, or maybe it was just me, and I mean that in all seriousness, wasn't really his thing, so, but the older I got, the more we got along very well. And I would love just to go back in time to maybe when I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, in that area. And he would always do his like work stuff in the basement. He had a little workshop, whether he'd be making model airplanes or working on stuff to help fix up the house. He'd be doing something along those lines. Those were Saturday and Sundays, basically, mainly Saturdays. You'd have his music blaring. That'd be music from the 50s and 60s. And he would be working on stuff. I think I would love just to spend some time just watching him work. That's what I think I would like to do. I think I would much rather, because I don't really have any questions to ask him, or just say anything. I think I'd just like to just sit and watch him do his thing when he was in his element, when he was in his prime, not when he had a disability that would allow him, that he couldn't pick up stuff. It really affected his nerves. So he just had so much trouble with that. But going back to that time when he would work out every day, he would be able to be like hanging from a work site, like hundreds of feet off the ground doing pull-ups. I'd love to see him in his element during doing that. And that's the sort of thing that we're going to be talking about here when we do your answers to question of the week. It's I think it's a great question to ask, quite honestly, and that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to get to your answers here after the break, and if you want to put them into the comments, you're more than welcome to as well. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
Twin Cities Pagan Pride is thrilled to host PaganaCon 2024, March 15th through the 17th at the Crown Plaza, Minneapolis West Hotel. Come to PaganaCon to experience deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Check out all the featured guests and list of activity at tcpaganpride.org. PaganaCon is a pagan conference offering workshops, panels, discussions, social space, music, a ball, vendors, and much more. PaganaCon is an educational and social venue for pagans, Wiccans, heathens, druids, people of other folk, craft, indigenous, and magical traditions. Come to Paganagon to experience deep community where people gather to learn, socialize, and get inspired. Paganagon is a safe place, not only to be yourself, but to meet other like-minded individuals. You can find more details and register today at tcpaganpride.org. Click on Paganagon. That's tcpaganpride.org. Paganagon 2024, March 15th through the 17th.
February is AM 950 Listener Appreciation Month. We can't run the station without you, and we wanted to show you how much we appreciate you listening to us. How it works is pretty simple. Throughout February, we'll ask you to like posts on Facebook, sign up for our e-newsletter, and call into the shows. When you do, you'll have a chance at winning prizes like gift cards to restaurants, tickets to our listener appreciation events, and much more. It's our way of thanking you for being a listener to AM 950. You are a
And I want to thank everybody who has taken part in the February Listener Appreciation Month. I see people who are in the comments that they're taking part in other online stuff for the station, for other programs and stuff. And I just wanted to thank you all very much for doing that because it is really fun to see everyone listen to other programs as well. Now, I did mention to everybody that we have the Charvinity Fair on Saturday and Sunday with Maria Shaw. That is going to be over at the Minneapolis Marriott Airport. That's 2020 American Boulevard. That's tomorrow and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I also want to let everyone know about, too, over at Megas Books tomorrow, they're doing something about chaos magic. You're going to be able to learn how to make sigils and the history of the chaos magic movement. It's going to be a great time. They're doing some really good stuff over there. To find out the times and everything else regarding the chaos magic, please visit megasbooks.com, and you'll be able to see the other stuff that they have coming up as well. So it's a jam-packed weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, I'm going to be over at the Charvinity Fair tomorrow. I'm going to have a table. Please stop by and say hello. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, so we have the question of the week here that we would like to talk about, and once again, folks, the question I asked was this: if you could just have 5 more minutes with a loved one that has passed, just 5 minutes, what would you say? What would you want to talk about? Is there a period of time in their life that 5 minutes, the 5 minutes to take place in, like a special period that they, that you remember them at their prime or whatever else? That is completely, up to you. If you want to put your answers in the comments, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read. And I got over 20 some comments about this. So Diana says, my uncle, I would want to say goodbye because he left us unexpectedly. And I understand how hard that can be. So once again, Diana says, my uncle, I would want to say goodbye. He left us unexpectedly, and how much appreciated and loved him, as well as been trying to find new foods more because of him. Isn't it amazing what they leave behind, what they leave behind and you pick up? I think it's fantastic. Jolene says, my dad, I would tell him I love him and talk about my Bigfoot hunting because he enjoyed all things I had to show him of pictures. And I miss all of his opinions on a lot of evidence. The thing is, and some of you I know very well. And I remember when Jolene's father passed away, and it's, it's tough. It's tough to see our friends lose loved ones, isn't it? Teresa says, my dad, I'd let him know I didn't abandon him, that I did search, and most of all, that I love and miss him. Joe has a very different take, and I think it's valid as well. All these are valid. Joe says, I don't think I would, honestly. He wouldn't want to do the 5-minute thing. I know that might sound a bit crass, but it would only be for me and not for them. 5 minutes would not resolve any lack of action on my part. I believe in their current state that they would know my heart or they would be oblivious to earthly concerns. And I would just challenge that, Joe, by saying, in my opinion, who cares if it's just for you? Honestly, who cares if it's just for you? It's okay to have these things, because a lot of times, and anyone who has gone to a medium who asks about, like, I want to ask about, my dad, I want to ask about, they want to make sure they're all right. They're asking for themselves. And that's part of the grieving process. But, I respect, I respect your take on that. And Sharon responds to that, and she says, I was actually thinking the same thing, and then having the pain of losing them all over again. And that is something. 5 minutes goes like 5 seconds, doesn't it? Shar says, my grandpa, just to tell him how much he meant to me, how much of a hero he was in my life, and because he was so quiet, to know I heard every word he said when he did talk. Also to make up for lost time when he was here and family drama kept me from seeing him. Now, Pamela, hi Pamela, I'd like to have 5 minutes with my sister and ask her if there's anything she would have done differently, and or what she would have liked to do had she lived, since she was 18 when she passed. Lisa says, I'd think I'd pick my life partner, Scott. I came down with COVID a week before he passed. He was placed in hospice on Wednesday of that week, and he passed 4 days later. I tested negative after 5 days and tried to spend as much time as I could with him until he passed. By the time I could see him, he couldn't speak, and I wasn't alert. So I feel there was a lot left unsaid. I'm so sorry, Lisa. It's, and especially, this wasn't during lockdown, but I also remember during lockdown, all of those friends who were unable to see their loved ones because they couldn't get into a hospital to visit. Jennifer says, I would like to talk to my aunt. She passed away tragically at a young age. I was very young also. I'm told I'm a lot like her. I'd like to know if she's proud of the person I've become, if I'm really following in her footsteps or not. And now with my dad, her brother, being sick, if she could tell me when that horrific day will come. I don't know if I'd want to know that myself. Jessica says, I wouldn't want 5 minutes because it'd be hard to let them go again. Very true. That's very true. And maybe it's cruel on my part to say 5 minutes, but at the same time, it's like, it's hard to get, any time, right? Have any of you just ever thought about that and just kind of daydreamed about those people you're talking about and what would that conversation look like? I know I have. Jody says, my father, he passed when I was 7 years old. I would just love to hear him and get his thoughts on life. That's the one thing that I loved talking to my dad, would be just hearing his thoughts. Jill says, my best friend and first love, Ken. I would sit with him in our favorite spot to watch the sunrise together again, hugging him the entire time, not to say anything, but to listen to anything he wanted to say to me. I missed him so much in life. I don't know how to live on the rest of my entire life here without him. I contemplate in silence when I sit in beautiful surroundings, wondering when I'll be beside him again, as the sound of his voice and words of advice replay in my mind. Thanks for asking. Tracy says, Mom, I would tell her how much I love and miss her, and would want reassurance that she is watching us and not missing out on all the moments that I wish she was here for. And that one is a little bit harder because I share that mom with Tracy. Bruce says, birth mother, dad, grandparents, anything they want to talk about. Quick fill in the blanks on family history and how much they are missed and loved. Sounds like speed reader there with getting all that in 5 minutes. Brian says, I would talk to my dad and see if he could show me where a few geological sites are. He had 2 he always wanted to show me, but we didn't have time when in those places. He loved rocks. Sharon just says, my biological father that I never got to meet. Michael says, I would spend that time in telling them how much I love them, how much they have impacted my life, and how much they matter to this world. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. And I'm kind of looking at the comments, and if I'm just going to say, if it's in the comments, I'm going to read them. I don't want you all to, I'm just hoping it's nothing too personal. Nancy says, yes, I wish I would have asked my parents about themselves. I think about what I would ask. I think about, this is, me now talking. I think that my dad and my mom both grew up in Northeast Minneapolis, around the area of like, Ritz Theater and, close to Central Avenue and all those areas in Minneapolis. And I always wanted, when he was still able to drive around and stuff, I always wanted to take him around these areas and record him, either with a camera or audio recorder, and just tell me what it was like back in the day. We talked about doing it and never did. Just like the whole family, I talked to my parents when they were alive and talked about we should just have a party one day where we invite all of our relatives over and they bring family pictures, and we just do a massive scanning session where we just put them on a scanner, all these pictures, and we just keep scanning them, and then later we just send all those out to people. Because there, it's just so much that there was just so much family and pictures we haven't seen in so long. I hadn't mentioned my sister sent me a picture of my grandfather on my dad's side, a picture of my dad when he was, 8 or something like that. The earliest picture I've ever seen of him. These are like lost treasures, right? It's just incredible. Who else do we have here? Melanie says, I would enjoy spending time with my grandma. She was a great cook and a baker. If I had 5 minutes with her, I would ask her how she made homemade donuts and a family fave, lefse. I would want her to show me how to make these items in her kitchen where she lived. Isn't that something? If there is a message to be taken from this, just remember that the message here is simply this, that for all of us who are thinking about what we should be doing, wouldn't be nice if, and if we're able to do it, right? It changes so quickly, doesn't it? Mary says, both my parents. I was not around when they passed. I'd like to see them. I love them. Sorry I was not there, but everything is okay. Annette says, that is very hard to narrow down. I could not answer except the one that influenced me the most. Michelle says, my maternal grandmother, Rosalind Evelyn, after she died in 1995, we found out she was married before and had a boy and a girl that her ex-husband took away from her back in the late 1930s. I want to know why she never told us about them, nor that she was married before she married my grandfather. She also hid the fact that she was Jewish. I want to know why she didn't tell any of us. I've been wanting to know these things since 1996. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that something? I will tell you this. Someone that's not my immediate family, but in an extended family, because I'm not going to say who it is. It's not my place. After this person died and them going through his stuff, they realized they found a Purple Heart. Like he was awarded the Purple Heart. And his whole life he never told any of the family. That's pretty incredible. That's the thing that, we always talk about, like when people pass, that you find out some of the skeletons in the closet, but sometimes you find out what really made these people. And not to get too much on a tangent, you find out, especially those who served in the military, and I would say especially like World War II. I mean, I'm sure it's for all, but my experience has been with like World War II and around that time, they just didn't talk about it. They kind of kept it to themselves. This person who had the Purple Heart, that's pretty incredible. My great uncle Chet, he saw some serious action. He was on Normandy. He was probably one of the most gentle people I have ever seen in my entire life, and that is saying quite a bit. But he was just, and the you would have to kind of pull it out of him a little bit about the war, because I needed to talk to him for some class project I was doing. He didn't shy away. He wasn't like, "Oh, we don't talk about that." He was fine answering any question and talking about it once you asked him about it, but you never got any sort of like, he just didn't do it. And I find it personally so charming and so beautiful when I see veterans wearing their hats that say where they served, how they served, what platoon they served. I find that so charming, and I respect that so much. My great uncle was never like that. He was just somebody who he just did not make that known. And one of the most scary stories with him was on Normandy when he was in a tank with somebody else, and this other person, he wanted to see what was going on outside, and he opened up the top of the tank and stuck his head out, and only his body came back in, no head. So definitely not a great situation there. So that's something else, that's for sure. Why don't we go ahead and do this while we can? There's we got some more to get to, but at the moment I want to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the question of the week. Also, if you want to put your answer to the question, if you'd like to share it, please put it into the comments as well. We'd greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I hope you're enjoying this. You're listening to Ghostbox Radio on AM 950.
Have you been wondering how you stepped into this infernal, mundane timeline full of muggles, NPCs, and toilet paper shortages? Here at Magus Books and Herbs, we get you, and are staffed with real-life unicorns just waiting to help you rediscover your shine. So come explore your magical side with books, herbs, incense classes, and more at 1848 Central Avenue Northeast in Minneapolis, or online at magusbooks.com.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with metamorphosisconnections.com. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search metamorphosisconnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on metamorphosisconnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting metamorphosisconnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's metamorphosisconnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 19, then Saturday, cloudy with a high of 45.
Vinaigrette can add the perfect complement to your next home-cooked meal. Taste test their wide selection of oils and vinegars, and they'll bottle it for you right on the spot. Vinaigrette is located at 50th and Xerxes in South Minneapolis. Check them out at vinaigrettemn.com. This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
And join us Monday on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, because we're going to pay tribute to John Yost. We had John on about a year ago. We did this one-off special called Ghostbox Radio After Dark. It was on a Saturday night. And what we were trying to do there was simply just have a discussion about alien encounters. And John gave us his take on it. It was a 2-hour program. We had Shar on there. We had another gentleman named John on the phone. And it was a really impactful program. We only aired it once. I'm going to break it up into 2 parts because it was a 2-hour program. I'm going to do that Monday and Tuesday. And from there, hopefully you all get to see this wonderful person, John. He was very gentle, very kind. He was very kind with his time when we were trying to get ready for this. And I greatly appreciate everything he did. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer last year. The treatment that he needed was unbelievably expensive. His GoFundMe was like $200,000 just to pay the bills, and they did very well, but not well enough. It just didn't hit the mark. And him and I kept in pretty good contact throughout the last year. He would update me with his situation. He would send me pictures. At one point, he was feeling pretty good, all things considered. Ultimately, on February 13th, he lost his battle. And I just really want to pay tribute to him and air those episodes that we had back in April. If you want to as well, go check out, he did a film called Alien Abductions Answers. And in that, he talks about his situation, his exposure to aliens as well. It's very good. He talks to other people as well. It's not just about him. It's a great film. And hopefully, this question of the week is honestly meant to kind of be beautiful, kind of remind us, not that it's my place to remind any of you, but just to kind of, talk about some of the stuff. I hope I'm not bumming you all out tonight as we're getting into the weekend. This is really meant to be more, I don't know if you can tell, I was kind of choking up a couple times. It's actually pretty tough, though Pamela does say these really help us to realize that we all leave some sort of impact. And it's a funny thing is, it'd be interesting to know with those people who left us and the impact that they left us. Like I think about Diana with her trying new foods and stuff. And it could very well have been that they were, her and her uncle were like, let's go to new places all the time. There might be some stuff that is included on there that is kind of like, I had no idea that this would have been an impact to you if you asked them. I think that'd be kind of fun. Like, there's stuff that has impacted me that my dad has done that I do to this day that I'm sure he'd be like, what? I didn't even know you were interested in that. I think that would be kind of cool to see. So if this is bumming you out, I do apologize. It is not my intention, but I have some more I'd like to read. Emily says, this one is difficult. Wowza. She thinks it would be her aunt. She died young while I was a newborn. I don't know her, but I've always felt a connection to her. Most of my family and both sides have passed on, but she really stands out. I think that's very interesting, especially as you were a newborn. I think about my own grandfather, my mom's dad, who passed because he had it was stemmed from alcoholism. He was a pretty bad alcoholic. And you think about that as well. You think about the stories, actually both sides, mom and dad. You think about the stories and you think about how well they turned out, all things considered. I find that to be very fascinating. But my grandpa, he died well before I was ever born. He died shortly after my sister was born, who's 4 years older than I am. So, never seen, but he's come through Spirit Box for me. His name Lou has come through Spirit Box for me. And that kind of it makes me a little leery, to be very honest, in the sense that he wasn't a great father to my mom. He wasn't a great husband to my grandma. Has that changed? Has he crossed? All those questions. And then you cough. That's also part of it. Let's see here. Todd Gatewood says that is a difficult one. Suzanne says, at my age, there are many. The most recent was an in-law, David, who was kind, saw things skillfully, helped me tremendously, but ended up with myeloid lymphoma at 84. I'd just like to ask if there is anything he would want to tell me. I didn't get to see him after his illness, although I wanted to, and asked his wife. She thought it wasn't necessary, and he slept most of the time. Yeah, that's too bad. I think that's really too bad. Stacy says, I would want 5 more minutes with my dog. Oh my God. You think, okay, so if anyone knows, I'm a big animal person. So, if I start bawling over this one, let's see here. And then I lose it. Let's see here. I lost. There we go. I would want 5 more minutes with my dog anytime, any place. I would tell him how much I miss him and that he's still the bestest little boy. Oh my God. There are no people that I need 5 more minutes with. I don't know if she meant that in a funny way. But there's no people that I need 5 more minutes with. I want the dog. I don't care about the rest of you. Oh, Stacy, that's probably close to me as well. My parents, yes, there is actually a couple relatives that I think of on occasion, but there are 5 cats now that I'd love to catch up with, especially Dave and AJ. All right. Well, that was. I hope you don't mind me laughing about your last sentence there. Mary says it wouldn't be enough, but I'd sure take 5 minutes with my mom, who died in 2003. I'd be happy to spend those 5 minutes with the same person she was when she died, just to chat about everything she's missed and everything we have missed about her. That's beautiful. Let's see. Nancy, we already read something from her comments, but I'm just going to read what she wrote on here. I'd ask them about their lives. What were the best and worst moments in a nutshell? My parents were young, and I didn't get to ask them. Mom, 48, and Dad, 52. Or my cousin, and ask him if it was on purpose or an actual overdose or someone else's orchestration. I bet there's a lot of questions around stuff like that. Tara says, my fraternal twin, why? I don't know if she's asking me why. Like, why? Why do you want to know? I'm just asking the question. It's not like I know anything else. But very interesting, isn't it? Bruce in the comments says, fascinating how we all have similar yet different thoughts on the topic, yet all is about reconnecting. It is. Bruce, you're absolutely right. It's very much about, I just would like to catch them up. I just like to let them know, about stuff. I know, and not to speak for my sister, we read hers earlier, but I know with 3 children, who let's see, I'm trying to think, still in high school. One was still in high school. I think the other 2 might have just got in or still middle school or something, or even younger, especially with my dad. But you think about, that's the stuff that Tracy would have loved to have my parents see. And I personally believe that they're there, and I think she does to a certain extent too, but you still want to see their reaction to things. You still would like to see them talk about it, all of that stuff. And so I don't know. I find it very interesting, and I am, this was a really, I love this. I love this question. I hope that everyone else enjoyed hearing it. It's hard not to feel sadness for some of you, because I can feel the sadness in the answer. And there is a lot of unfinished business when it comes to death, isn't there? There is a lot of unfinished business has such a kind of a weighty term to it, but it doesn't have to be weighty. It's just more of like, I just wanted to know about this. I wanted to know about that. I like to cook, and my mom used to make this baked chicken that she did this amazing gravy for. And she had asked me before, do you want to know how to make it? I've had, at that point, let's see, about 46 years to ask her how to make this gravy, and I never did. Not that every day I'm like, oh, I wish I had that gravy, but I wish that I would have asked. And I don't know if she ever really knew the reason why I got into cooking, and I do my own cooking, which I don't want to sound like, I'm a big boy and I can wear, grown up pants and stuff, but it's true. I do a lot of cooking. And if you're on my Facebook page, you'll see like all the stuff I make. And that's strictly down, simply because I wanted to have food like she made. That's why I did it. That's why I learned how to cook, because I didn't want to be in a world where I didn't have that kind of food. So I'll make stuff the way that she made them. And it may not be the way that other people would like them, but that's okay. I'm not making it for them. I'm making it for me, just like everyone else would cook that way. But that's one of those things that, I don't know if mom would ever really know. That's why I really got into cooking and stuff, because I really wanted to emulate what she was doing. So, there is something like that. Now, the other side of it, of course, is that both mom and dad, it's one of two things. Neither of them could teach me how to do anything, or I just wasn't very smart enough to soak it in. My dad tried to teach me how to do stuff with cars and oil changes and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think he was the greatest teacher when it came to that, in my opinion. But and mom would be all about, well, how do you, when you start cooking, you're kind of looking for those like I want, a third of a cup of this and a teaspoon of that sort of thing. And she was all about, well, you put a little bit of this in, and you put a little bit of that in. And it's like, okay, I don't know how to do that. Because a little bit of that could be like, 3 cups, and I wouldn't know. So yeah, it's funny. It's funny how that works. And it's also funny how time flies, doesn't it? And I think about that with one of the answers I read, that somebody had said that basically, that their mom passed away in 2003, and that first year in particular is very tough. But then there's that whole thing as well of next thing you know, 5 years have passed. Next thing you know, it is it's just, there is so much, and that's just kind of sad. Going over to the AM 950 Facebook page, where I posted this as well. Larry had said that he would say that I'd love them more than I could ever say. That's very sweet. Sharon said, I would tell my mom how much her love and all of her sacrifices meant to her children, and how we all became kind and loving adults because of who she was. And, boy, it's cliched now, isn't it, to say, tell them now, tell them everything now, because you never know when they're going to. For some reason, it's really hard to tell people the stuff that it should be talked about every day, isn't it? Like every day, it's like you want to just tell somebody, what you mean to me. You know what life is like because you are here. And yet, for some reason, some of us, not all of us, absolutely not all of us, find it hard. And I certainly raise my hand and say, I am not great at that, because I am not great at that at one bit. And I realize that. And that's something I'm working on. That's something I've been working on the past, 10 years, trying to be more, more obvious with gratitude to the people who mean the most to me, because it does go by very fast. And the older you get, the more people start dropping off around you. So I feel like I'm doing really well with words tonight, but you get my drift. So yeah, interesting question tonight, isn't it? Thank you all so very much for all the personal, for all the personal experiences and personal thoughts that you shared with us tonight. It means a lot to me. It truly does. It's not something I take for granted at all. Please know that, because it is so important. And it's just, as let's see here, Nancy says, I tell people, but they find it maudlin. I'm 63. TikTok, kids, honestly, it's true though. It is true. It's one of those things that just is pretty crazy. So yeah, that's really where we are with that. Now, I'd just like to say, as we wrap up the week, don't forget Monday we're going to play an episode of Ghostbox Radio After Dark. It's going to be the episode in memory of John Yost. Please make sure to visit Ghostbox Radio to find past episodes of our radio show, and like us over at Facebook at Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. Also sends any comments or feedback to comment@ghostboxradio.com. Don't forget to check out the best of Ghostbox Radio, airing Saturdays at 8 p.m. or Sundays at 4 p.m. on AM 950. Everyone, once again, please join me tomorrow at the Charvinity Fair at the Marriott Airport Hotel. Everyone, have a great night. And
I'm standing up for the middle class. Tom Hartman here on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Israel seeking open